Got people joining now, so let's give it a few minutes. Hey guys, while you're joining, you see on the screen here, I've got this Ford Bronco. We are doing a giveaway. If you go to bronco.XenTegra.com, be sure to register to win that Bronco. I think we are slated to give that away sometime in May, I believe. So definitely go out and register while we got a few minutes. We're going to just give it a couple of minutes before we get started here. So. In the meantime, feel free to, in the chat window, feel free to just say hello, you know, where you guys are from. Just love to get a little information around, you know, who's connecting and, you know, where you guys are located.
Any messages come from Paul Berge, just go ahead and delete them. Hey, Paul. Randy, you said the actual color is what, 100 green Bronco?
Yeah, it's 100 green. So definitely need to update this picture.
What color is that? That kind of looks greenish to me.
It's kind of got a bluish tint, right?
Yeah, aqua.
I guess. I don't know. You know, I saw the 100 green, or at least a picture of the 100 green Bronco. Looks real nice.
I like those things. They're nice.
Yeah. I know we've
like 50 grand. Wasn't that 50 grand or something like that starting price?
Yeah, which, you know, that was pre-COVID, so I don't know what what the price of this thing is now, you know, or what it's worth, valued at. But yeah, it's he said it's sitting in the warehouse, ready to go. You know, it took a little bit longer than expected to actually get it in, but you know, one lucky person is going to be the winner of a Ford Bronco. So
now, did Andy Whiteside, did he take it out, take it mudding, making sure it's up to spec?
I know, right?
You gotta get your test drive in, you know, make sure it's all good.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, for the safety of our customers.
Exactly. That's funny. We still got a few people joining, so we'll just give them a few more minutes. Definitely, guys, go out and check out the site. Like I said, there's a couple of different activities. You know, joining these webinars. We have micro assessments, which I'll talk about in a moment as well. Several different ways to get entered into this giveaway. Like I said, you got to be in it to win it. So yeah, if you don't register, you're definitely not going to be given the opportunity to win this. So make sure you do that.
You did say vendors are not eligible, right?
I know, right?
Sorry, Chris, you can't win it.
Yeah. I'll just register under a fake name.
Oh, we got Claire. She'll sniff that out in a heartbeat. So
you mean you're gonna do chriswalker123@gmail.com,
yep.
right?
Yep.
Anybody with a Gmail email, I do decline. I'm just letting you know. Don't try it.
All right, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. It's been up about 5 after. So
did the recording start?
What's that?
Did the recording start?
Oh yeah.
Recording start? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good.
So guys, just real quick again, for those that just recently joined, we are giving away a Ford Bronco. I think the timeline is in May of this year. We do have the Ford Bronco. It's located in our warehouse. It is 100 green. Again, go to bronco.XenTegra.com. You can sign up and register. You got to be in it to win it, right? So that's my little advertisement for today. I know everyone's here today specifically talk about app layering. I appreciate you guys joining. We typically run this workshop about once a month. So, want to make it interactive. So, if you guys have any questions, throw it in the chat window. We'll respond to it either through chat or we'll bring it up and answer those questions during the workshop. So our agenda, very quickly, I'm going to go over who we are, or who XenTegra is rather. I'm going to turn it over to the Liquidware guys, let them give a quick overview of Liquidware. And then we'll jump back in and just specifically talk about app layering, right? And we'll jump in to a demo, kind of walk through how FlexApp works, some of the benefits, how to create a FlexApp layer, talk about future roadmaps, things that are coming up, and then save time for any questions at the end. My name, real quick, is Randy Price. I'm a sales engineer with XenTegra. I live right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Been in the industry a little over 20 years. If you've ever engaged in one of our micro assessments, there's a chance that I was involved with that either on the Citrix or Vmware side. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on if you guys haven't taken advantage of that, exactly what that entails and what that is. But that's a little bit about me. I also have with us today a couple of guys from Liquidware. I have Chris and Johnny. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Thanks, Randy.
Sure.
I'm Chris Walker. I'm a subject matter expert for Stratosphere. I've been with Liquidware for 10 years, mainly focused on our diagnostic solutions, and is here to provide some commentary. I also know Profile Unity pretty well. Johnny?
Yeah, I'm Johnny Ma. I'm a systems engineer with Liquidware, covering Stratosphere, Profile Unity, and FlexApp, and here to show you how to make it happen.
Good deal. Appreciate it, guys. So again, along the way, if you guys have any questions, throw it in the chat window. One of us three will get to it, respond to it, and as we go through this, and specifically as we talk about Liquidware, both on the FlexApp side, but even Stratosphere or Profile Unity, any of those sort of things we want to bring up, definitely don't hesitate to ask those questions as well. But real quick, this is Andy Whiteside. He is our founder and CEO. Andy was a Citrix sales engineer for, I believe, about 7 years. While he was in this role, Andy came to realize that the Citrix partners at that time only really cared about getting brought into customers, right, and closing deals. What customers really needed was enablement around the products that they were purchasing. And unfortunately, at that time, vendors were either not willing or not able to really provide this enablement, and this really frustrated Andy. And so out of that was born XenTegra. So in 2012, Andy founded XenTegra with that goal, right, to enable customers to really enhance that end user compute space, that community of users, and form true partnerships with the various ecosystem vendors. XenTegra strives to add value and enable our customers through things like education, training, workshops, events, webinars, things of this nature. And we continue to do that today. So today, XenTegra is a virtual end user computing reseller. Again, we invest heavily in our partnerships, customers and community by providing carefully selected products and solutions, coupled along with expert services and providing practical training and advice along the way. And we bring the right products together to enable a user-centric workspace. We sell, we design, we integrate these solutions, really get technology out of the way to enhance productivity and help you with your digital transformation initiatives. And we can do that, again, by a variety of ways. We offer consulting services, we offer managed services where we can manage and monitor your digital workspace. From an engagement standpoint, typical project, and again, no customer is too big or too small. So this is our focus partners, and our roots are in Citrix, but our goal is to make your end user compute space, a solution, successful. So we pull in other key focus partners to help enhance and expand your user workspace experience. And our strategic partners are niche solutions that make any end user computing deployment go from good great, right? XenTegra handpicks these partners and embeds them where needed to help our clients be successful. So, that's a little bit about who XenTegra is, but why XenTegra, right? We realize that, you guys have many options when it comes to partners in that end user ecosystem. However, no partner will add as much value as XenTegra does. We ask you to, at this point, to really evaluate your current partner, whoever you guys are working with, and ask yourselves, what value do they truly bring? How does this partner ensure my success? Does this partner only care about closing deals or transacting, right? XenTegra is committed, right? We invest, again, heavily in our customers and our prospects through these educational events. XenTegra is very capable. We employ only the best of the best. We pride ourselves on getting industry experts and employees who are passionate about this industry. I think we did a study and we did a collective, how many years have you been working with Citrix, right? Citrix solutions in total within XenTegra, and I know this is kind of a crazy number, but it was like 720 plus years or something like that. If we took all of our employees and how long they've been in this space. So that's quite a collective amount of knowledge and experience that we bring. We are also focused. We are a top national Citrix and Microsoft partner. We're growing to, we're smart and strategic. And like I said, there's, no client's too big or too small. We treat all of our clients and customers the same. So we talk about the value add, right? What kind of value add? We talked about the webinars, we offer hands-on workshops. We do have vendor-focused podcasts, right? So definitely go check that out. We have podcasts based upon many different, vendors that we put out that you can get a lot of great information. You can find that in whatever solution you're using, to listen to your favorite podcast. Once conferences hopefully start back up, we also offer conference passes to our customers. And then the last thing, I kind of pointed this out earlier, the micro assessments or complementary assessments. Those are assessments that we provide that essentially are up to a 4-hour engagement where we will work with you to, review your Citrix or your Vmware environment, looking at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we're able to come in, give you a better understanding of one, what am I entitled to? Am I using the solution appropriately? Is it configured appropriately? If maybe you're having end user experience, provide you some value as far as looking at the environment, making recommendations. Is this vendor recommended practices? We can also couple that with Liquidware and their Stratosphere product, which we'll talk about here in a moment, to provide some additional, visibility and value in that assessment. So, but real quick, I wanted to give the Liquidware guys to do a quick overview of Liquidware and what they bring to the table before we really jump into app layering today. So, Chris, you want to kind of speak to this?
Yeah. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah.
So, Liquidware, we are basically multifaceted, and at the end of the day, all of our solutions work across virtual, cloud, and physical. Whether you're running Citrix on-prem, in the cloud, Amazon, Azure, Google, Horizon, and funny enough, we're known in the virtual desktop space, but our largest deployments are actually physical. If customers figure out how we're licensed, so a user, Chris Walker at Liquidware on my laptop, and Chris Walker at Liquidware on my Citrix, my Horizon, my Amazon, my Azure environment, I'm one user. So they deploy, our largest deployments are actually all physical. But at the top right, user environment management, that's our Profile Unity solution. It can help you with managing that user. So today I'm at my desk, tomorrow I'm on an iPad connected to Azure, then I go to the Boston office and I'm sitting at another desk. So that user is truly decoupled from that machine and allows them to move around the environment and have different parts of their profile migrated in for that specific environment. So when I'm in Citrix published applications, I only need the settings for that app. There's no reason to put my entire persona on that machine when all I'm running is, say, Outlook. So very granular control of the user environment and decoupling. Pour coffee on your machine, ship them a new machine, they're back up and running. Or get them into the Citrix environment, they're ready to run. There's some cool stuff with domain migrations and all kind of other things, mergers and acquisitions. We're doing some stuff with that too. Then right below that is our application layering technology. So this is actually built into Profile Unity. It's called FlexApp. And unlike some of our competitors who have multiple interfaces, our Persona Manager actually links into our layering technology. So it's one screen, all the same filters, very easy to manage. We built all this technology from scratch. We just didn't go out and buy somebody. And we've been doing application layering for many, many years. I don't even know how long, 5 or 6 years at least. This allows me to attach applications at boot, on login, or what we call quick to layer. And actually, I'm not going to steal Johnny's thunder. He's going to get really deep into FlexApp a little bit later here. Then the monitoring and diagnostic solution, that's our Stratosphere, allows me to diagnose what we term the first mile, so that users sitting at their house on their Wi-Fi network, what is their latency, who's their provider, Comcast Business or whatever, all the way back to the data center in my Citrix environment. How is the Citrix doing? How's the ICA protocol? How are the ESX servers, the Active Directory login breakdown? I've used Stratosphere to keep a lot of customers up and running because, hey, I just set 10,000 people home, told them to go buy a laptop and connect to my network. Well, is the drive encrypted? Is the CPU too hot? It's melting down. We have all of that data in Stratosphere. So a lot of different solutions. We don't make VDI. We make VDI better. Thanks, Randy.
Very good. And kind of point out, when I mentioned the micro assessment or complementary assessment, the Stratosphere solution that Chris just spoke about is an option that we can utilize for those assessments. So again, if you guys are interested in that, let us know. We can definitely engage with you and on that assessment, and it's a great way to kick the tires on Stratosphere as well, right? So you guys can actually see that in action, because it can definitely provide a lot of value and data, especially when you're having users complain about poor user experience. So okay, so let's get to app layering. The reason you guys are here, real quick, I do want to throw up a poll, so let me throw this up real quick. So you guys can answer the questions here. I've just threw up 4 questions. I'm just trying to get an idea of where you guys are from, what vertical, what you guys are doing for application layering today, or your application deployment strategy. What are you guys using your platform, right? Citrix, VMware, Microsoft ABD, and then how many images are you having to maintain? So we'll give it just a few moments here that you guys respond. I'd love to get at least 50% response if possible. So let's just see if we give you guys a few moments here. Starting to get some people in here. I know there's a few more of you out there. There we go. Keep them coming. Looks like we got a mixed. Okay. Just a few more moments. We're almost to 50%. If you got a few more of you out there that can respond as well, that would be great. Okay. I'll go ahead and end it. Let me close the poll. Let me share these results. So industry rise, right? The guys are kind of split. We got some financial, some government, educational, retail, legal, some fed, some other. As far as application layering deployment solution, it looks like the majority of you guys are using SCCMs. A couple of you guys are actually using FlexApp. We got some app layering in here and some app volumes, Citrix app layering, some Vmware app volumes, Bonti, we got some Intune, somebody's doing app V or MSIX. Someone else is using some other solution in BigFix. So across the board, majority of you guys are just like Citrix virtual apps and desktops, got a couple Horizon, and we did have one person respond with Azure Virtual Desktop. So, and when you talk about images, right? How many images are you maintaining? Looks like majority of you are between 1 to 5 images. We've got more that are 5 to 10 or way too many, right? So I'm assuming that may be part of the reason you guys are here today. It's just the management of those images, right? So appreciate that. Let me close this poll. Okay. So real quick, again, you guys are all here. There's a reason most of you came to this workshop today. My guess is most likely it's issues that you're having around application delivery or image management. So, you know, when we talk about application delivery, what sort of challenges or issues are we trying to solve, right? I believe the most common issues are the fact that installing apps per PC, you know, whether it be physical PC, a VM, virtual desktop, or image is inefficient, it's time consuming. We typically have multiple images based upon things like departmental apps, for example. And these images are also based upon whatever underlying OS, right, which multiplies that issue, especially if we are talking about, you know, tens to hundreds of apps that we have to maintain as well. So it's really a never-ending life cycle for both virtual and physical desktops. We're trying to maintain applications, we're trying to patch, we're trying to, you know, install updates, handle versioning. It's a pretty time-consuming sort of process, especially if we have to multiply that by the number of images that we're having to maintain. So what is the solution, right? The solution is really separating those apps from the base image. I mean, when you think about it, managing the apps from the base image is more efficient. The base OS image management becomes easy, right? We can utilize a vanilla base OS image. As far less number of images are required because apps are now managed separately. Again, those images remain clean, they're pristine. This also allows for the potential portability of those applications across operating systems. And who can benefit from this approach the most? Really everyone, right? Especially customers, again, with dozens or hundreds of applications. The question is then, you know, what solution can help solve these challenges and provide the ability to decouple those applications from the base operating system? And, you know, there's really several players in this space. You know, we talked about, there's several of you guys using Citrix app layering, there's some VMware app volumes, but no one, right, can provide the flexibility, the ease of deployment, and the administration as a Liquidware FlexApp. And that's why Liquidware is considered a leader in this space. If you look, Liquidware has won numerous awards, and FlexApp was also the first app layering solution on Amazon Marketplace and Microsoft Azure Marketplace as well. So what is FlexApp? It is an advanced feature within the Profile Unity user environment management platform. It is a fully integrated solution, right? Chris kind of spoke to that earlier. It's built on the same architecture. We'll talk about that in a little bit. That's able to leverage the profile settings and policies that you define in Profile Unity, but it can also be implemented independent of Profile Unity's core UEM features, right? So maybe you're already using some sort of UEM solution, right? Whatever it may be, and you like that solution, you can continue to use that and use FlexApp along with that. But you do get some benefits to using Profile Unity. Like I said, being able to use their context-aware filters, things of that nature, and coupling that with some of the UEM capabilities. But you can, if you are happy with your UEM, use FlexApp along with it. So just keep that in mind. And you know, FlexApp enables, when we talk about what it does provide, it enables administrators to assign these departmental level applications to groups of users, right? So instead of having to maintain multiple images, due to having these departmental applications, now we can assign them to that one image, right? FlexApp application layering is compatible with all the major desktop virtualization platforms. I know several of you guys were using Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops. We had some VM Horizon, Azure Virtual Desktop. One of the differences, you know, when we talk about VMware app volumes or Citrix app layering is the fact that FlexApp also supports physical PCs, right? So imagine, you know, now being able to create a layer and deploy that not only to your Citrix or VMware environment, but also to your physical desktops as well. It supports virtually all application types, and it provides a flexible layering solution where we can layer at system boot, at user login. There's a click to layer functionality, which essentially allows you to display an icon on the desktop for that application, but it's not actually layered until the user tries to launch the app. And there's many more ways, right? And we'll talk about that as well. And really, it just enables multi-cloud staging and hosting of applications utilizing whatever cloud provider that you guys are using today, because it incorporates in with all the major cloud providers. So what are some of the benefits of using FlexApp versus, say, a Citrix app layering or VMware app volumes? One of the ones options or things that I see as a major benefit is the fast packaging. So you guys are familiar with, say, Citrix app layering. You know that the time it takes to create a layer in Citrix app layering, it can be time consuming, especially if you went through that process and then realized, oh, I made a mistake. Now I've got to go back in and edit that layer. There's not really a way of doing that. You have to create a new version, right? Kind of walk through that process again. FlexApp offers things like fast packaging. It allows you to package applications in the same amount of time it takes to install them. Package once, right? So again, being able to package an application and being able to deploy that on any Windows OS that supports that application. Being able to create your own cloud-based repository of apps, right? It does support native cloud storage. So all those major cloud storage providers, you can utilize the storage from those cloud providers as well. Session isolation. So we can have multiple users be logged into a single server, right? So take your RDS HFarms and VMware Horizon, your Citrix virtual app server, your Microsoft AVD server, have multiple users log into that one server and have a unique set of applications, a unique experience based upon the criteria that's set up within FlexApp and Profile Unity. Also supports micro isolation, right? So packaging and interactions are seamless with zero file conflicts. It also supports application and user rights management. And one thing to mention, that's at no additional cost, right? The other thing is context-aware filters. So we can base triggers based upon things like users, groups, what endpoint are they connecting from, and so forth. And all of this is delivered from that centralized management console. There's no database requirements. We're able to utilize existing infrastructure within your environment. We'll discuss that a little later when we get into the architecture, but this is completely different from what you guys are typically doing with Citrix app layering or VMware app volumes today. So this is really that FlexApp layered approach where we take any OS level, right? Apps are packaged individually and stored, again, it could be on a CIF share, it could be in cloud-based storage. We assign those to users. Now we can create a desktop pool utilizing any OS or app combination, right? Reducing the number of images we have to maintain. For those of you that are using like a Citrix app layering, and maybe you like using it for the OS, right? Maybe you like providing that OS. FlexApp can actually work with Citrix app layering, for example, for delivering of the apps. Maybe you still manage the operating system with app layering. Because FlexApp is purely just looking at the applications, right? We're not layering the OS. We're not having to create a platform layer. It's literally just the applications. So, whatever solution you're using, if you're using, again, a Citrix app layering, we can couple along with that from a FlexApp perspective. And you guys will see that in the demo and see how easy it is to go through and layer an application and why it makes sense to really consider a FlexApp versus a Citrix app layering or VMware app volumes. A couple of other things that kind of differentiate FlexApp is they have FlexApp package automation, right? So this is something that became available last year and really provides that DevOps sort of scenario where we can, bulk package executables, MSIXs, MSIs, and so forth. So, you know, imagine being able to kick this off on the weekend, right, or on Friday afternoon before you go home, come in Monday morning and all your applications have been updated, right? Or maybe you've layered, you know, 50 apps over the weekend and you didn't have to, you know, you didn't have to touch the keyboard at all. You just kick this thing off and it goes to do from an automation standpoint. Much different than, say, a VMware app volumes or Citrix app layering. Another thing that is a differentiator as well is what they call FlexApp 1. It's the ability to take an application and really take and layer it or create a self-contained file, right? Where there's no external player, no heavy agent that you have to deploy, and be able to distribute that. It could be a couple of different methods, right? Whether you use any of the, you know, OneDrive, Google Drive methods, so you put it on a USB stick, whatever it may be, to be able to distribute that. User clicks on that executable and now it launches that application, right? Essentially, it's another way of delivering our apps. So, you know, a good use case for this potentially is, you know, maybe I've got some contractors that need access to an application. You could deliver that to them through FlexApp 1 and even set an application expiration, right? So after a period of time, the application will just become unusable, right, at that point. So again, this is completely different. It's a game changer. And the one thing to point out is, you know, everything we talked about here from a FlexApp perspective, again, not just on your virtual desktops, but also on your physical desktops, right? So being able to do this across the board. So one question you get asked a lot of times is, you know, we got FlexApp 1 being able to create this single executable. What's the difference? When do we want to use one over the other? Really, it comes down to connectivity, right? How is the device well managed? Is it offline or online? That's going to really dictate whether we're using FlexApp 1. You know, if it's a laptop, for example, you know, we're going to use FlexApp 1, right? If it needs to be offline. Do we want to use something like Intune, right, and push down these applications? Well, that's a FlexApp 1 sort of scenario, right? Do we need to leverage Profile Unity, right, for any, maybe we need privilege elevation, or maybe there's, you know, you know, some modifications that need to be made afterwards, or when you want to use some of the trigger points to only layer this in under certain conditions. That's where we would look at FlexApp natively.
Hey, Randy.
Yep.
Actually, that slide's a real good place because everybody always asks, when do I use FlexApp? So when I put it in my base image, what's a good use case, things like that. You know, FlexApp, no manufacturer should ever tell you I'm 100% all the time, use me 100%. There's a lot of applications like Microsoft Office, 99% of the use cases, it should be baked in the base image and just be done with. Right. There are other applications where you may need full isolation, like an AppV or MSIX. So don't let anybody ever fool you that, you know, their solution, anybody telling you that's lying, that their solution is 100% for every scenario. FlexApp is a tool for your toolkit, works out very well for natively attached applications, but there are certain times when I need that full bubble because I'm trying to run an application that was only written for Windows 7 on Server 2012. That's not FlexApp.
Good point. Good point.
Johnny, any comments around that?
No, 100% correct there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, right? This is a tool in your tool belt, much like, you know, your Citrix and VMware guys. You know, you have the capability to deploy full virtual desktop, or even just publish an individual application, right? It depends on the use case, and that's very similar here, right? This is a tool depending upon the use case and what you're looking to provide. So that's a great point. You know, when we talk about FlexApp, talk about those use cases and benefits, we can see there's several potential benefits and use cases where we're using Liquidware solution for application delivery. And that could be things like simplifying app management, you know, supporting those non-persistent desktops, simplifying base image management, business continuity. There's several different benefits and use cases that, you know, utilizing an application layering solution can provide. And you know, we keep using the term application layering. You guys will see here it's really more app attach, right, versus app layering, but you guys will see what I mean here in a moment. We also wanted to bring up, Liquidware has a great community site as well. They actually have some recipes out there, and I kind of call this out. If those of you that are familiar again with Citrix app layering, for example, there's recipes out there for all of these applications. How do I get this to, how do I layer this? And some of these are pretty extensive. If you go out and you look at Liquidware's application recipes, these have actually shrunk over time. And the reason for that is because the compatibility, right, with Liquidware's FlexApp and the applications. You're going to also find things like recommended practices, things of this nature. Also, I wanted to point out, they also have a tool, it's a free tool, it's called their VHD compacting tool to shrink the VHDs used with their profile disk for profile management, as well as FS Logic. So, I know we really haven't talked about Profile Unity per se at this point, but Liquidware does have a great community site where they're giving back to the community. One of those things is that compacting tool. So if you do happen to be using FS Logic for profile management, definitely go check out that tool. It's a great way to go in and reclaim some of that white space, right, when users are deleting.
Yeah, Randy, actually on our community site, one of our customers typed up, so he had I want to give everybody the same exact image. So I want to give everybody 2 CPU and 4 gig of RAM, but I know people are going to need more memory. So on our community site, he actually typed up all the PowerShell commands and things like that. So when I log in, I'm in an Active Directory group called 8 gigabytes. It hot adds the memory to the machine. It's really freaking cool what this guy did. There's some other cool articles. Take a look at our community.liquidware.com. There's some pretty good stuff out there.
That's great. That's great. So let's talk about the architecture. We kind of talked about it already. The FlexApp utilizes the same architecture profile unit. It's really baked in, right? From an on-prem deployment, it does run as a standalone system. We can utilize your existing infrastructure for deployment. So, there's no proprietary databases that are used for storing user profiles or the data. There's a lightweight agent that gets installed to our endpoints. The agent configuration files are hosted on, or can be hosted on your existing net logon share. And the reason for that is it's already there. It's highly available, right? It's replicated through your environment, or any other enterprise share for that matter, that for replication and availability. So, we talked a little bit about FlexApp and we're getting to that, but I feel like I should discuss Profile Unity just to tell you how you can benefit, not only from FlexApp, but from Profile Unity. So Profile Unity is leading the market with cloud integration, right, for your modern desktop. Profile Unity supports the capability from your cloud provider to deliver your profiles for any sort of object-based cloud service, whether that's Amazon, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure. And you can use this to save your user profiles and your policy settings. Profile Unity support of these cloud-based storages for profiles is seamless and fully integrated into the product. There's API level integration that allows you to transition your profiles securely at logoff or during the user session in the background from on-prem to cloud, right? So imagine during that transition, maybe I'm moving from on-prem to the cloud, I'm starting deploying some desktops, being able to transition that profile in the background and having it staged there so the user has the same look and feel regardless of where they're accessing their desktop. You can also sync that or automatically transfer that user created data, things like my documents, pictures, in the background as well, that to that cloud-based storage, whether that's OneDrive, Amazon Work Docs, whatever it may be. This helps ensure that the user data is secure and always available to the user wherever they have access. So Profile Unity with FlexApp delivers that, again, that full-featured user persona management and application layering solution, again, for virtual desktop deployments as well as physical PCs. Profile Unity decouples those user profiles, much like FlexApp is decoupling the applications from the OS layer. Profile Unity is decoupling the user profile settings and data from the OS, right? So really helping to end that user migration lifecycle to new Windows desktops. And this really allows, maybe you're using Citrix virtual apps and desktops and you decide you want to go to VMware, and guess what? We can just port that stuff right over, right? Or maybe you're using Microsoft Azure or virtual desktop in the cloud and you have Citrix on-prem, users can get the same look and feel, same experience regardless. Again, Profile Unity utilizes that lightweight agent. There's no complex package or software package to install or deploy. It stores and dynamically applies these user profiles, the configuration and data, and the selected applications, layered applications, FlexApp, at login time in seconds, right? Allowing you to be more flexible than ever. These are extremely portable across operating systems. You know, a lot of customers say, well, I'm already using FSLogix, right? Well, with Profile Unity, we can hydrate those FSLogix profiles, right? So maybe you got a FSLogix profile for Windows 10 and you've got one for 2019 because maybe you've got an RDSH or Citrix Virtual Apps environment with a VDI environment, right? So now we can take, and those settings that are portable, we can take and we can hydrate those FSLogix profiles across and giving you that portability across operating systems. So last slide here before we get into the demo, it really offers, you know, these key advantages. Again, that centralized dynamic user profiles, they remain in native Windows format, which means they're backward and forward compatible against, you know, across the Windows operating system. They can also coexist across multiple Windows versions, which kind of talked about that. Another differentiator is it includes applications rights management at no added cost, right? So imagine being able to elevate privileges for select users. Maybe they need to install specific applications. You can elevate their privileges, or maybe you want to restrict specific users from running certain applications in the base image. You have that sort of capability. Also comes with context-aware filters, so it gives you granular control over how these features are applied, either within Profile Unity or FlexApp. So you can have a configuration based upon hundreds of different criteria using a single filter, or you can stack these filters together, right? Being able to, you know, let's say maybe you're in maybe you're in an office and you need to be able to print the specific printers that are nearby, right? We can do that using things like context-aware filters. And again, Profile Unity works across mixed operating systems and really supports, again, no different than FlexApp, physical, virtual, any sort of cloud-based workspace, whether it be Citrix, Vmware, Microsoft Azure Virtual Desktop, AWS, and so forth. All right, with that, I'm gonna stop talking for a little bit and turn it over to Johnny. He's going to give us a demo of FlexApp in action. So I'm gonna stop sharing.
Yep, thank you, Randy.
Yep.
You should see my screen now, correct?
Yes.
All right. So with FlexApp and Profile Unity integrated together, our main console to do any configuration changes and administration is actually Profile Unity's management console. So inside of Profile Unity's management console, build as many configurations as you need. In this case, I actually have two main configurations we're going to look at here. I have FlexApps on machine boot, talking about our various layering options. Basically, when the machine boots, it will actually go out and retrieve and attach a bunch of layers for my machines. Benefits of all the app layering that you would normally get is with that, and being able to granularly manage and separate the applications from the operating system, while also giving us a baseline of applications that everybody should have, right? So if I boot the machines and I get my various browsers and my Adobe readers and my offices, basically I have a good starting point of this is stuff that everybody should have. And then when they log in, they attach what they need to attach as a user base, right? So in order to configure a system boot FlexApp layering solution, what we do is we actually define FlexApp as a service. So you come out to your administration console and you fill out a service account that is going to do the layer attaching for you. The service account will go out to your share or go out to your cloud storage. It will attach those layers on machine boot. So when you fill out this section right here, you end up with the creds file. The creds file is an encrypted file that's read as part of the service, and then that's what's used to actually attach those layers. So if you go back to that configuration, you should only see these applications in here, and this is the only thing we're processing. So on machine boot, I'm going to attach my Firefoxes and my Adobe readers and those types of guys like that. So I have a different configuration, and this configuration up here actually has my user-based layers. So I have 3 applications here, while in the machine layering that I have 7 applications. So on login, I'll attach these 3 separate applications as well as process all these other various pieces inside of here. But yeah, in terms of what we configure in Profile Unity, anything with the red square has a configured item. There's no mandatory need to deploy everything. You just deploy whatever you need in your environment and you're off and rolling. So let's talk about capturing an application. Capturing is very easy, very straightforward, very, very fast. So I have what we call the FlexApp packaging console. FlexApp packaging console is a very clean VM. So it's a VM that you stand out there, lowest operating system that you have in your environment. So if you need to layer to Server 2019 or anything below that, you just figure out the lowest version that you need so that you can, when you capture everything on there, we can play it back forward. So this is actually a Server 2019 machine, and then I can actually play back all my layers on Server 2019, Server 2016, and also technically any of the Windows 10s as well. So I log into the FlexApp packaging console, and the FlexApp packaging console does integrate directly into Profile Unity's console. And that benefit that we have there is that all the applications are added to inventory and become assignable as we capture. So let me log in here. And you're going to see I already have a whole bunch of those applications that we talked about earlier, but let's just capture something as of right now. I have Notepad++ latest, greatest version. So I'm going to hit the create button. Create button is going to ask me to define a few fields. Not every one of these fields is mandatory, but one of them that is mandatory is package name. So I'm going to call it something like Notepad++ test. And then basically everything else you can just leave alone. You fill out the VHDX location on where we need to store the VHDX, the size of the disk. I'm going to define it as 20 gig, but I'm going to mark it as expandable so that everything is then provisioned. But you can most definitely come in here and mark it as any of these lower volume sizes as you require. And I'm actually not going to create a FlexApp one at the moment. The newer, latest, greatest FlexApp packaging console can automatically create that for you. But we're going to actually walk through the process of the bundle command to actually transform the application into a FlexApp one. So the moment I click this create button, it's going to go out to my share and it's going to create a VHDX and make it readily available so that I can perform installation. Moment I click the start button, I'm recording the file system and I'm recording the registry. So anything that I make happen on this box will actually get recorded. This is actually a place where we can not have clean layering as well, right? So if I have something pushing a package to my system at this moment, I'll record that as well. So that's what we kind of talk about, making our FlexApp packaging console very silent, very quiet, to avoid any of the capturing of unnecessary components when we're trying to capture something like Notepad++. So since I'm in the recording mode, all I really need to do is run the application installer. And then I'm going to get a UAC prompt, which is cool. And then all I need to do is proceed through the installation steps. In this case, it's literally next, 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 finish. And then at this time, I can choose to run the application, just make sure everything functions. Come in here, do what you need to do to make sure you vet the application set. When you're done and finished, you just close the application. And what I can do now is the moment I click this finish button, it'll stick everything inside the VHDX and make sure it's unmountable and remountable and those types of things so that we can play it back. Give this a second and you should see it finish. And then we'll actually save the package out there so that it's ready for our use.
Johnny, some of those newer buttons that were on your packaging console, is that 684R2? Because some of the customers are running an older version, 684.
I'm actually running a dev release right now of 685, but those will make it during that version. 684R2 will not have the function to automatically create a FlexApp one. That's coming later. So now I'm finished. And then if I wanted to, I can extend the package, meaning what that will do is it will remount the VHD. And if I need to install another application inside of this package, like Notepad++'s plugins or any of those types of things like that, I can do that as well right now. So I'm actually going to hit the save button. and it should be assignable now, right? So if I come out here, I see that as an application. If I need to edit the application or clone the application or any of those types of functions right now, I can do that.
And this is where you could clone it. Actually, it's, you know, it's on a VHD right now. You could clone it to the cloud if you wanted to, right?
Yes. So if I do this clone operation here, and on this package type, I pick cloud, it's going to use my stored cloud credentials, and it's actually going to drop it out into my storage account out in Azure. And it's just automatically copies the VHD out there, and then it's already in inventory for the one that lives out in Azure. So that becomes an assignable application as well.
Show them the editor too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a game changer for me, just from my experience from, you know, app layering in the day, right? Was I created a layer, then I realized I forgot something, needed to delete an icon, whatever it was.
Yeah. So when you hit edit package, it remounts the VHD. The application does show up inside of here as a modifiable thing, right? So if I didn't want the shortcut on the desktop, if it created one, or the one in the start menu, if it created one, I can actually purge all those icons so that the user doesn't get any icons, or modify any registry that they need to modify in order to make things happen there and go forward as I deem fit. I don't have to repackage it. I can just come in here and edit the small little tweaks that I need to make for the application.
That's a huge time
This is
saver.
where you turn off like the auto upgrade features and crap like that.
Yep, come out to any of the services that this may install, disable, stop those services so that any of the auto updaters for like your Google Chromes and your Adobe readers stop trying to update.
Yeah. And everybody noticed that scheduled task. You know, Google Chrome has a service, and they got several scheduled tasks that you have to disable as well to keep that updater from starting again.
Mm-hmm. All right, since I didn't make any changes to this notepad, I'm actually going to cancel so that it's not going to commit anything. And then, yeah, it's off and it's deployable now. So now if I come back to my Profile Unity console and I'm going to be in my user layering section, right? I'm going to create a new FlexApp rule to assign that Notepad++ to myself. So you come out here, click add rule, come find the Notepad++, drag it over. And then on this one, I'm actually going to check the box for click to layer. Click to layer, as we talked about before, creates you a shortcut. You click on that shortcut, and then it actually layers the application in, meaning attaches the VHD kind of on the fly, and then it runs the application. Gives you the benefits of app layering while not necessarily attaching all the layers that you would want up front for the user. So if the users are using applications that are use quarter end or use month end, you can kind of just use click to layer for those guys so that we're not attaching all those applications, even though the user may not use them until a specific point in time.
Be careful with that, because remember, like Notepad++ is going to put in a lot of file associations. Mm-hmm. So if they don't launch Notepad++ and get the file associations attached, and I click on a text document, it's going to open in Notepad. Yep. So click to layer is really cool for not taking any hit at login time, but your file associations don't come active until you actually mount the package.
So in this case as well, I'm not filtering, but I can come out and define a filter like group membership. These are user-defined filters on this side of the world, right? I can create machine filters. The machine filtering part is especially interesting for FlexApp on machine boot. So machines start with this naming convention, get these applications, while machines starting with this naming convention, get these applications. But here I'm going to leave it as unfiltered. Basically, anybody logging in, which is only myself and my demo accounts, will actually get these applications. So once I create that rule, I do have to hit the update button in order to save the configuration. And then now I actually need to deploy the configuration so that it's read. So I come out here, I have a Windows 10 20H1 box. And this 20H1, it booted, it attached those machine layers. So my Google Chromes and my Adobe readers, those 7 applications we talked about earlier. And all I really need to do is log in, and I'll have those, and I'll have all my application sets.
Johnny, while you're logging in, we did have a question come in around sizing of the VHD. Yeah. They asked, can it be automatic for efficiency or always a manual assessment of the app being packaged?
So everything is then provisioned. on those applications, right? So if I look at this Notepad++ that I just created a few seconds ago, right? Even though I assign 20 gig, I'm only consuming what I'm consuming. So it's 200 meg.
Right.
So you don't really actually lose anything by assigning the 20 gig, as long as you set that box as expandable so that everything is then provisioned. Right. So let's come back to our login. I forgot where I was in the password. So let me type this guy again. When we log in, you're going to see our splash screen. You're going to see our config that we're processing, whatever label you would like to call it. You can call it whatever you need to call it. Mine's called portability and VHDX. You won't see the FlexApp machine boot because that actually already processed, and this splash screen is only for where users would see. All right, so here's all of my applications that are coming as machine boot layers, right? These 4 guys, actually there's more in the start menu. My Google Earth Pro and various other things are assigned to me through user layering, as well as that brand new Notepad++ guy that we just assigned and created earlier. And that's click to layer. You see a little box that pops up. You dynamically drop that and attach that layer onto this machine, and we're often using it. So very interestingly enough is if we come out to disk management, we see all the various layers and containers and everything that you have in your entire world, because we actually mount those VHDs off of the network share and to make the application function and be there, right? So here's that Notepad++ that we just captured. And here are all the other various packages that exist out in our world.
A lot of times you get a question, does this take up a drive letter? It does not. I'm going to mount to path with our filter driver. And then the other question we get is, how many packages can I mount? I think the limit's around 223.
I believe the limit on most recent versions is like 2,000, but I would like to most definitely see someone with 2,000 layers, because the most I've ever seen on anybody's machines is like 30, 40.
And then talk about too, do I put one app per package? Can I put a bunch of them in one package? Because that's a common question as well.
Yes, that one is up to you logistically how you would like to package them. Our common one that we see is one application per package, but we do actually have another SE that likes to create the big package. He has a package that has hundreds of applications in there just because he wanted to see the actual limitation of it. But you can most definitely create like a department package. So like an accounting department, here's all my applications for them, HR department, like that as well. It's however you like to proceed with it. And you can put 20 applications in there as you deem fit, or just build them as one by one and select them and assign them to the user.
Is there any benefit or con to that?
What was that?
I said, is there any benefits to creating a single package?
It's less administration.
Right.
So if you needed to upgrade and update accounting departments, all their applications, you don't need to open each of them and install whatever update. Mount the package once. It's already there, and then you just roll through your accounting software updates for all the various applications that are inside there.
We did have a
general rule I like to use is, if an application updates a lot, like Adobe Acrobat updates every 2 weeks, that program gets its own package, because I don't want to crack open that big package just to update one little bitty application.
Yes.
We had another question come in. Does this work with Citrix published apps?
It works with Citrix published apps. It works. You can actually use published apps on like a machine boot, on a user layer, or also on click to layer. There's lots of documentation out on our KB site. If you actually wanted to do click to layer published apps for the user, you manipulate one particular file in our configuration, and then you point it at our JIT cut executable with the path to the actual VHDX, and you'll actually publish application X to the user. They can click on it. You see that little pop-up screen for the click to layer, and then it attaches that layer for them, presents that application for them. But yes, most definitely, all of our flexible layering options are compatible for published applications. Yes.
Guys, think about that. A lot of customers, their VDAs are blank. It's Windows. And then on the healthcare industry, when they boot up, they mount Epic at boot time. Or maybe my VDAs are blank until somebody actually clicks on an application. Then I mount that application on the fly for that user. So the first user has a little bit of delay while I mount the app. The next user, no delay. But my VDAs are empty until somebody actually runs an app.
Yes, most definitely. I do have a customer using that as a scenario out in Utah, very large healthcare customer. They boot blank Server 2016 and Server 2019 machines, and then they basically system attach those layers on boot. So they'll boot, attach the requisite applications that they need to per silo, and they just publish those applications to the folks in their user community.
So Johnny, talk about that. So say I'm running along during the day and I discover a bug in an app and I need to switch it out for a new layer.
Yeah, so in switching out the layer is very easy. So if I come back to my FlexApp packaging console and I found that, everybody's using this Notepad++, in my case in prod, you probably don't want to put the denoter of test in there, but that's just semantics. So being that it's locked, I can't really touch that because there's lots of people actually reading this layer, right? So it's as easy as this. A lot of these functions will be disabled because it's being locked. All I really need to do is clone this package, call it something else. So I can call it Notepad++ something else. And then I'm actually going to store it back as a VHDX here, and it's going to have a different version and all that fun stuff that happens there. I can make the requisite change to the Notepad++ application. So I will actually commit this because it makes sense. So I don't know, we'll put something here like 2. Why not? So I'm actually going to clone this package. It's actually going to copy and label the volume and do all that fun function. And it's actually going to automatically import that into inventory for me. Oh, actually, I got an internal server error. That's interesting.
You had the Create FlexApp 1. I know you said you using it a bit.
Oh, yeah. I was like, too many options to check. Yeah. Let's see what this says now. No, I still got an error. I have to investigate that, but let's just talk about it like this. So if I were to duplicate the package, which I can most definitely, so we'll just copy and paste it here. And then we can trim up the name. Oh, maybe I'm having some sort of weird error on my system. Okay, that's probably why it's not functioning on that copy operation. But in essence, you're going to have a duplicate of this application, make the change to the application, come out to your profile Unity configuration, and it's as easy as editing this rule, removing this application, dragging in the other application, and then it's off and running.
Now in the published apps, how would I do that? Like I can stop new users from logging into a machine, age it out of my inventory, reboot it. It would then hit the new app and basically walk through that process. Yeah,
rebooting an RESH machine as a virtual app machine is how you get those layers to reattach with the new version. On single user machines like virtual desktops, Windows 10 single user virtual desktops, they log off, they log in, it's there. But on multi-user machines, they do have to reboot. All right, let's talk about automation because we did talk about that earlier, right? So automation is very interesting because all it is, it's filling out a file. So I have a packages file.json, and some people see the JSON at the end of it and they get a little freaked out, but it's actually not that complex of a JSON. So we care about a few lines inside of this JSON. All of these lines actually pre-populate when you actually run the configuration to deploy FlexApp packaging automation. But the ones we care about here is name of package, right? We care about size of the VHD. We care about the installer, meaning location of where I grab said software to run through the package automation. And then silent install switches. These silent install switches for majority of applications are published out on the vendor website. That makes it happen. So once I fill out all this information here, all I really need to do is execute the PowerShell command, which will roll my capture agent against this capture agent machine and against that packaging file, and it'll actually automate capture for me. So if I actually run this with PowerShell, we'll actually see it says 1 pending, and then in a second here, it'll be 1 running, and then in a second here, it'll be 1 successful. FlexApp packaging automation and everything is free when you own the product. There is no limitation of anything here. When you own FlexApp, it's right there.
And one of the big things I like about the automation is actually consistency.
Mhm.
So I don't have to have different users come in or have contractors come in and things like that. So I can consistently package the new version of Adobe Acrobat every single time. I just feed it the new version of the file, tell it to go home, come back, it's built. Now,
Yeah.
There's a question in the go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, you guys, what was that? Finish your thought.
Well, there's a question in the chat about how it's licensed. So it's licensed by user,
Yes.
either named or concurrent. And so if I log in, like I said earlier, as Chris Walker at Liquidware on all the machines, that's 1 license to us.
All
So
right.
most time in healthcare, Johnny, when you say concurrent, most of the time in healthcare?
Yep. Most of the time in healthcare is concurrent because it's shift work, right? Folks leave shift during either at night, and then there's a night shift that takes over to provide care. So running in concurrency does save you licensing on that front. Yes. So that Notepad++ actually actually automated packaged out here for me. It's in my inventory when I look out here, because I actually stick that FlexApp packaging automation into a different share. And then now it's assignable once again to my folks, my users out there in the world. So there are also integrations as well that are written by some of our other SCs. You can integrate this with Chocolatey, so that if Chocolatey detects that there's a later greater version of like Google Chrome or Adobe Reader, that integration allows it to automatically download FlexApp packaging automation, will automatically capture it, and it'll be ready for you. Lastly, let's talk about FlexApp 1. FlexApp 1 is interesting because I can take whatever I captured as a VHDX and I can wrap it as an executable, which will shim in my service and allow me to take the application offline. If you use deployment tools like Intune or SCCM or whatever those tools that you may have in your environment, you don't require any admin rights because those tools will automatically actually install the service for you. But if you are don't have any of those tools and are trying to run it on the fly, like we are going to do on this demo, it'll actually prompt you and says, you're missing the service, please install service, blah, blah, blah. All right. So this is exceptionally easy as well. FlexApp 1 comes when you download their bundle, has a PowerShell script and a couple of executables. All we really care about is calling this PowerShell script and calling the path to the actual FlexApp. So I have some pre-canned bundle commands that work in this environment. And yeah, all we basically have to do is this. So let me kick off my PowerShell and then let me CD out to that directory. Sorry, can't type. So I run this command. What it'll do is it'll take the existing 7-zip FlexApp I have out there, and we'll actually convert it into a FlexApp 1 compatible format. So I'll land with an executable.
Now, is that where you would put the expiration date to? I was on that command.
The expiration comes in the license and then also in the command too. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. You would do that. Sorry. So if I come out to my share location for FlexApp 7-zip explicitly, right now I have, these 3 files, which were the main FlexApp application. And then now I have an executable. So I'm actually going to transfer this executable onto a different share so that when I'm on my FlexApp 1 machine, it's available and I know where it needs to be. So I'm going to copy that guy over here, and then I'm going to come on to my FlexApp 1 client. So my FlexApp 1 client, very, very, very vanilla, nothing really installed on here except for some C++s and some prerequisite stuff. But I don't have any Profile Unity. I don't have any FlexApp tools. None of our clients are out here. If I look at my services, I don't have any Liquidware, anything on this box. For all intents and purposes, it's a blank Windows 10 that's on the domain. So, you know, in production environments, you would use your Intunes and your SCCMs to deploy this package or to sync it through with OneDrive or however flavor you would like to actually deliver this executable to folks. But in this scenario, all I'm really going to do is copy this to the desktop. Once I copy this to the desktop, I can actually run it from there. So I'm actually going to run this application. It's going to say, you don't have the service. Would you like to install it? In this case, we have to. So we're going to click yes. And then once the service is installed, the application will just run 100% native, like it's installed or layered through FlexApp. So let me run this guy off the desktop again. And I wasn't patient enough. I have two of them. So 7-zip is running here on this machine. If I look inside of my disk management, I'll see that the VHD is mounted. And then I also can do some other interesting things like, let's do this. I'm going to detach the NIC on this machine, basically simulating that I'm on a laptop and I took this off-prem. So even though I copied this from a share and everything like that, the application for all intents and purposes is local because FlexApp 1 gave you the ability to mount and wrap that VHD into an executable.
And that app is fully like context-aware menus, file associations. I mean, it as it's installed, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Most definitely.
So we used to have an issue where basically you had to be attached to the network, either cloud attached. So I'm at home, I'm attached to the cloud, reading the FlexApp. Now, literally, I can take this executable, email it to a contractor, have the executable expire in 90 days, and it's on his local machine. I don't have to go bug him about getting the license back or anything else. It actually just stops working.
Yep. Are there any other questions that popped up in the chat? I haven't been watching. Sorry. I don't see any. Are there anybody with any questions? Feel free to fire them through the chat and we can answer them. If not, I'll turn it back over to you, Randy.
I definitely appreciate that. Let me share my screen again here. Okay. So just a couple of things. You know, we saw in the demo how easy it was to layer an application, right? It was very simple, very easy to layer that, to deploy it to users. If you guys want to walk through this process, let us know. We can go through with either a Profile Unity or a FlexApp or a Profile Unity and FlexApp POC or demo. It's fairly simple to get up and running in your environment. So let us know if that's something you're interested in afterwards. You know, definitely reach out. We can set that up for you guys. That'll give you guys a chance to get some exposure.
Yeah, one of the things we used to have, we did this back a couple years ago. We had a 90-minute challenge. The SEs had to be able to install and configure Profile Unity with FlexApp and have it up and running in a customer environment in 90 minutes. It's actually very easy to do. As long as you have your prerequisites done, the management server, a couple shares, and access to the group policies and stuff. So I have actually done where I did Profile Unity install, FlexApp Metatech, and had it up and running in a VDI environment in 90 minutes.
We need to record that as a webinar thing where it's like 60 and 60. Remember they had that back in the day with Citrix, 60 virtual desktop in 60 minutes. Yeah.
That's very cool. Very cool. Couple things real quick, talk about roadmap, right? So what's coming out? I mean, you guys are already doing a lot of innovative stuff, specifically around FlexApp, you know, as you compare it to the Citrix app layering or VMware app volumes. So, you know, the question is, what's coming up? What's new, right? You guys got a lot of things planned. I don't know if you guys want to touch on any of these specifically, kind of call out things that stand out. You know, I see the things like auto operating system optimization, right? Optimize the operating system for packaging. I'm assuming that's for the packaging console. Is that correct? Is that correct, or is that?
Actually, Johnny, cover 684R2 that just released this week.
Yeah,
Okay.
684R2 came out 2 days ago. The main thing with 684R2 is it allows Windows 11 and Server 2022 as filterable items. Previously, our product did work with Windows 11 and Server 2022 out of the box, but right now what you can do is go in there, use the filters for Windows 11 so that you can target actions against it. So, because most folks are not going to flip over Windows 11 overnight. You're going to have a mix of Windows 11 and 10.
Right.
So you just allows you that flexibility with that. Also, a lot of driver fixes and hot fixes that have come out over time are rolled up into the R2 fix. So lots and lots of benefits that show up from that one.
As far as the future planned availability here, we see things like application cloaking, which is that similar to the FSLogix app masking, but baked into?
Yes, very similar to that. It's just a cloaking rule to do file system cloaking, so you can hide applications from folks that shouldn't get them.
Right, right. And I see you guys now adding MSIXs and @Bs, right? Being able to take those and convert
Conversion
those.
tools for those, yes, most definitely.
That's great.
That's actually available today. So we do have a custom version of the packaging console. So if a customer wants to convert, hundreds of MSIXs or @Bs into a FlexApp package, we can do that today. Just realize, you're going from an isolation type technology to a native layering technology. There's no guarantee that app is going to run on 2022.
And the last thing to kind of point out, right, is this post logon or login support. So, we already talked about the fact you guys support boot and, click the layer and log in, as times when you would layer your applications. When you think about that from those that are using Citrix app layering, you got your app elastic layers or, layer at boot. You guys are able to really layer the applications based upon many different things, right? Whether it's, again, post login, I see trigger there, right? That's coming out. Is that going to be essentially being able to, maybe under a certain condition, layer an application?
As a trigger based on a filter, like IP address change or machine name change, have that trigger reprocessed and attach those layers as well. Yes.
That's awesome.
Or think about it. A big request from customers is, I'm using right now an application. I'm logged in, and then the administrator publishes a new app to me. Well, right now I have to log off and log back on. I could use a trigger to just go reread that file and mount the new apps for me. But same thing like Johnny was talking about. I'm right now in the office. I'm running the accounting system. I go home. Your remote IP address is not in the office. I'm going to remove the accounting package from your desktop.
Right.
Or I could just block it. I could block it as well.
Yeah, I could see that would be a huge, a benefit, right, or feature to be able to now layer in, like you said, based upon location, right? So like maybe my payroll app, whatever, I have to be on the internal network, or a certain subnet to be able to layer that application in versus maybe I'm connecting over Wi-Fi, right? I don't want that application being layered down.
Yeah, it's very similar use case in healthcare, right? Doctor using desktop while he's in his office, his or her office, whatever, give them all the applications they need. If the doctor roams the desktop session into the OR, you don't necessarily want to give them all kinds of browsers where they can go out on the internet and do whatever. They kind of want to focus on their task of performing the surgery they're doing, right?
Right.
Yeah, surgery. Yeah, good point there. And Johnny, I'm really excited about universal folder redirection as well.
Yep. Lots of good stuff coming up from there.
So can you describe kind of what that is, file system and registry?
File system and registry? You're talking about universal folder redirection.
Yeah. So basically, I got an application. It's writing data to C program files x86, and I need to make that portable or move it somewhere else. Same thing with the registry. So being able to take the really granular level instead of just a folder redirection, actually redirect that file system and that registry location into a VHD.
Yep.
So that it's portable for me.
Yep.
A lot of new stuff coming out in Q4 of this year with 685. Any questions from, I don't see any new questions come in on the chat.
Do not either. Yep.
Quiet bunch here today.
Yeah, it's quite much. Definitely, a lot of good information. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it in. Hopefully this was informative. There's definitely a game changer. Like I said, I kind of always, coming from a background where at one time I was used to doing this sort of, this sort of work, right? Layering. I actually used it for quite a while just to be familiar with it, how it worked, that sort of thing. Especially either app buy-ins or being Citrix app layering. To me, this is a game changer. It's time saving, the features, the functionality, everything it provides. I wish I would have had FlexApp back when I was, an administrator and using those other technologies because of the feature functionality. But
yeah, the
you guys
end goal
are there.
there is really end goal really there is image management, right?
Right.
I had a customer in Alabama. It was a municipality, and he had 21 different images. Some of them were just simple as a shortcut on the desktop. By the time we left, implemented Profile Unity with FlexApp, he had 2. And he was an IT staff of 3 people managing an entire county. So you can imagine, his workload and weekends and stuff like that. He was very happy to get down to 3 images, get the apps out of the base image, and he actually saved himself money too because he didn't have to have 800 or 1,000 machines powered up, all with different images. He was able to cut it back to 500 and do non-persistent. Much more efficient in his environment. User logs in. I'm in the fire department. I get the fire apps. User logs in. They're in 911. They get the 911 apps. Saved him a crap load of money in hardware too.
Or yeah, definitely. I haven't seen any additional questions come in. Definitely appreciate everybody's time today. I did want to throw that back, this back up again. Definitely make sure you go out and register. Again, if you haven't already done that, you definitely want to get in so you can win the Ford Bronco. We've only got a couple of months left before someone's going to win that. So definitely appreciate your time today. Again, if you guys have any questions or you want to move forward with a demo or proof of concept, let us know. We'll touch base with you as well. We can set that up. But Chris, Johnny, definitely appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining and giving us that overview and demo.
Yeah, if they want to reach out to you, how do they do that? Is it like sales at XenTegra or?
Yeah, sales at XenTegra.com or we can, like I said, typically we'll follow up as well if need be. But if you guys want to, you guys can send us an email, sales@XenTegra.com. If you go on the website, if you want to register as well, put your information in there. We can reach out to you that way as well. So during the registration process for the Bronco, there is a field in there asking, would you like to move forward with a proof of concept or any additional information? You put anything, you can put your request there as well. And someone will reach out to you. All right. Well, guys, I appreciate it.
For hosting.
Yep.
Thank
you
you.
guys have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.